I love cookies. I love cookies. I love cookies. I love cookies.
Welcome to Cookies, the basketball podcast. I am Ben Detrick. With me, per usual, looking mildly here, Jordan Redaelli.
Oh, hello. I am mildly here. Very mild.
Mildly saucy.
I don't really know what you mean by mildly here, but now you make me feel like Joaquin Phoenix on Leslie. Hi, Andrew.
What's up, guys? I'm here.
Kuo is here. You're more here in spirit.
In spirit, I'm not tired. I had a long night of watching hoops and just tired, man.
I gotta say, the playoff schedule is a bit grueling.
Tough work. Someone's got to do it.
Didn't love the whole sort of packing in 3 games with a lot of overlap and then one going until 1 a.m. Don't love it.
The East Coast curse, right? Like, if you're in LA, it's fine. But it's a lot of hoops, a lot of late night hoops.
Yeah, I mean, let's not pretend we have jobs here and we're waking up in the morning and...
No, I loved it. It was like a 95% love, 5% super tired.
It was just weird, like you said, to have the first half of Denver Spurs during the second half of Philly Nets, and then the second half of Denver Spurs during the first. It was literally each half was, whatever. It's the Denver and Spurs series.
I felt like there was no period of time in which you were
Solely focused on Denver Spurs.
right, or even sort of maneuvered towards caring about the Denver game. It was just, okay, this one's over, and then
It's a solid 10-point game.
and then you went into the Golden State one, and you're like, okay, that's it.
Derek White's a really unique looking player. His hair is wild.
What is going on with that hair?
It's big. It's cool. I like it. It's almost like a drawing of
But is he
a haircut.
Is he? Yeah, it's very manga-ish if someone's actually flying through the air.
Yeah, so when he's been throwing down some vicious dunks lately, and he looks really cool. His hair's like no one else's in the NBA.
But it is, so he has this weird mohawk that grows from the back of his head and the middle of the sides of his head. Is he balding or has he shaved it into that
I don't know.
scenario?
Oh my god, it'd be great if he was balding.
I'm pretty sure he's balding, and
It
he's
looks
just got
like
this crazy fucking. He's like Ginobili went punk.
Or he just has a really high hairline to start out. That it's not
Looks cool.
necessarily receding. It's a receded.
Yeah, I don't want to sound like
hairline.
I don't appreciate how awesome it is.
Well, let's get into all things Spurs and Nuggets in a little bit here. Here's a question for you guys.
Okay.
Kuo, you don't like watching games at bars.
I hate it.
Why? Why do you hate watching at a bar?
Well, I have to resist my worst tendencies as a sports fan when I'm watching a game, and usually that takes a little bit of concentration. And when I'm around people, I just turn into a douche. I'm just oh, you missed that, I just turn into a version of a sports fan that doesn't enjoy the game as much as I should. When I watch at home, it's chill.
This doesn't sound like the Kuo that I know. When I think of you at a sports bar, it's
We've all watched games together. I also can't concentrate because I want to watch the game, but also you want to see how someone's doing. Does anyone need a beer? What's up? Whose round is this? I just want to watch the game, man.
I have to be honest. I can't recall a time when we watched a game that I knew what your rooting interest even was.
Yeah, because I'm win woke. I just want a good game.
That's what I'm saying. So when you're I act like a normal sports fan, I'm like, do you? I don't think you ever care who wins.
It takes a lot of suppression. I have to just not root. But I don't. Yeah, maybe I'm post rooting about anything. I just want a solid game, even if it's lopsided. I want to see greatness. I want to see Harden just go off and demolish a team.
You're a greatness nihilist.
Maybe.
Do you ever watching really bad games?
Yeah, I'm a Knicks fan.
No, but just atrocious ball between both sides where it's
I do.
They're not playing their main dudes. It's
called
just
March Madness. It's bad basketball.
you know
man.
how you can hear a bad record and like appreciate it for what it is. I'll see a
Yeah, I paid like
awful
$20
movie.
for each one of those. It's called the Boredoms.
Oh
No, I love the
damn.
Boredoms. I love the Boredoms.
I don't mind it.
That whole era, though.
I don't mind an awful game, except that I did have trouble watching the first Boston Indiana game, and it was really gross. Just both teams were terrible. The Pacers played good D, but their offense was just pathetic. It was so unappealing that it felt like NCAA basketball, and that maybe it's that collegiate atmosphere that Coach Stevens, you know, that we embrace about Boston, that they're a college team out there. But it was gross.
They're deeply gross teams. Like, without Oladipo on the court, very gross. Like, boy, it's a Bogdanovich went off. You know, like, that's kind of exciting, but, like, there's no cool story around him. He's, like, a middle-aged player. I don't know. You know, like, he's not up and coming, but he's not, like, putting the cap on a career.
Just across the board, the whole Indiana Pacers roster is all of those guys. Thaddeus Young, like, yeah, a totally fine guy for a decade. He's fine.
Yeah.
He's a
Sabonis is boring.
Sabonis is at least young, so there's upside and he's good. But in general, Miles Turner, not even interesting.
Surprisingly, right? Because on paper, like, shot blocking 3-point bomber, I'm like, let's go. And when I watch him play, I'm like, huh, he blocked a bunch of shots tonight.
When's the last time the Pacers had an interesting player though?
Well, Oladipo this year, right?
You think?
I love Victor. I think he's super fun.
Yeah, he gives that team a completely different element of athleticism that they seem to intentionally move away from as a team. They're so unathletic and gross, and having one guy who will just dunk on you and has a little like spark off the dribble and
got
kicks
swagger.
to the corner. Yeah, it just
He's an
makes
R&B singer. Like, he's awesome. He's funny.
it makes them interesting. But the bar conversation, I feel like Jordan, you kind of like watching in bars.
Well, it seems you don't know shit about me, Ben. I don't like watching in bars. Who likes watching in bars?
Yeah, to Jordan's credit, he has been advocating for watching at someone's house and not a bar.
Yeah, I do not like watching at bars. I like watching at bars alone, and I just like put headphones on, be really
Like
antisocial.
Bizarro Superman when he flicks the peanuts at the bar. Remember that?
That's also how you behave in Uber pools.
No, I don't know who Bizarro Superman is. I assume he's a somewhat bizarre version of Superman.
No,
You don't know that- you don't
he's
know-
exactly the same.
You never heard of Bizarro Superman?
No,
Wow. Not a Seinfeld fan?
sure.
They had a whole episode about when Superman goes bad, but it's
Okay.
like alternate reality. In the comics, there was a doppelganger who was like Bizarro Superman. He had the same powers, but his intent was evil. And in the movie, Christopher Reeve turns Bizarro, I believe, in Superman 3. And like everyone's like, look, it's Superman. And it's like, whoa, he's acting really dark, you know?
Do they call him Bizarro Superman in the movies?
In the comic book, it was known as Bizarro Superman. So in Seinfeld, Elaine gets fed up with her lousy friends and gets bizarro versions of all of her friends who are nice.
And people often compare this trio that you're listening to the Seinfeld cohort, where I am our version of Jerry,
I'm George all the
George,
way,
and Jordan
Elaine.
is, of course, Elaine.
I still don't understand why I'm the lame.
Okay, so no one likes watching at bars.
Well, I love bars. Obviously, I met you guys at bars, but I love talking about. So right after a game's over, I'm kind of like, who wants to meet up for a beer and talk about the Warriors?
You want
know?
a basketball download.
Yeah, a little bit.
I don't like sports bars. I agree with you. I agree. It is. I detest sports bars in general. I want to watch games in a bar sometimes, but not a sports bar, which is a delicate conundrum.
I was in a bar watching one of those Kobe finals where he hit like a game-winning shot, and a guy from LA was just in my face the whole time, just like, "What motherfucker, Kobe?" You know, just like this whole thing. And I was like, "Listen,"
he was in your face the whole time.
the whole time, every
How
time he hit a
short
shot,
was he?
he was my height. I mean, I'm short, but not everyone's 6'5". But
So he wasn't looming over you. It was really
He's like just
in my
just
face,
right there.
Yeah, yeah. And every time a shot, are we doing short strokes now?
I believe we have done them before, right?
So it ends up this guy who was just like insufferable all night. It's like my good buddy now, Nicholas, who's at the bar that you guys know. But I was just like, I cannot go to bars, man. This is the fucking worst. And then
I will say, though, that watching a really entertaining game in a bar is still an awesome experience. When Kobe played his last game and put up 60 points on 50 shots and made a mockery of the sport, I watched that at a game, and there's a lot of Lakers fans, and it was completely hysterical and entertaining.
I mean, for sure. When I say don't like bars, like that situation sounds super fun. Like, what's going to happen if the Knicks go to the finals with Durant this year and they're about to clinch in Game 5? Like, do I want to be around other Knicks fans or do I want to be alone? I don't know. Probably other Knicks fans, right?
I watched the finals where LeBron had the chase down block and beat Golden State at home by myself because I didn't want to be around anyone at all.
Yeah.
And I remember watching the very end of it when he went to the foul line and like looking at my hand and it was trembling.
Oh yeah, you've talked about this.
Yeah.
were
You
wrapped.
couldn't have experienced that at a bar. You needed to be like in your own little wormhole of a brain.
I saw that particular game at a bar in Los Angeles, downtown LA. It turned out to be a fairly racist-y kind of place. It was very strange, but there was no other bar for miles around. And I watched it, and I guess it's California, so they were like rooting for the Warriors. And as the Cavs just kept clawing their way back into that one in the last few minutes, it was insane in there. How abusive these LA dudes were toward the Cavs.
Sports gives people licenses to be like the worst bizarro versions of themselves, right? Like, no one would yell at a stranger about something like going their way or not their way, except for a sporting event, which is what makes it awesome.
We talked about that a little bit last week when the Sixers were booed on their home court in Game 1. And that's a kind of unique situation where you're like, well, they're a 51-win team. They lost by 10
Yeah.
to a team that shot well, and you're like, give them the booze.
Yeah.
And then you look at the next game, that happened that day, and it was like Orlando beat Toronto, and I feel like Sixers fans like, oh, that's right, it's the playoffs, and sometimes you lose. And it was just the result of it being the very first game in the playoffs that made people lose their shit.
Right.
And then other good teams lost, and be like, oh, right,
This is best of 7.
that's part of what occurs. You don't boo your home team when they lose in a close game to a playoff team.
But this kind of like goes into like, I don't like to eat meals with more than like 4 or 5 people. Like, it just stresses me out now that I'm old. I don't like to go to crowded bars last night. Crowded bars. For example, last night our homie was in town. The bar was jammed. I just didn't want to deal. I'm old.
Yeah, I tried to watch the game. Which was it? The game that we were supposed to meet up afterwards, the Rockets game. I tried to watch that at a bar the other day.
Oh, you kept on.
I failed.
I was doing
failed.
Jordo. I was doing the annoying thing, being like, "What's it like? Who's there? Is it crowded? What's it like? Maybe I'll come. Who's there?"
Yeah,
Still there?
Yeah, I was doing that because I didn't want to go to a crowded bar.
Yeah, he pulled it off. I was at a bar downtown, and it was really noisy and really loud, and they started playing like a Biggie song. I was just like, all right, and we aborted at the half.
Yeah. It's like, kids are gonna love this. Biggie Smalls.
Like the Brooklyn Nets identity is like 90s rap fan. You're like, that appeals to people who are 40 years old.
Yeah, us.
But anyway, one other last thing about bars that I've noticed being here in Williamsburg. For many years, that North 6th corridor was just all bars and clubs and music venues, etc. And even along Bedford, you had a ton. And on a weekend night, it would just be absolutely swarmed with people drinking and eating pizza and hanging out and whatever. Now it's not like that.
Totally different.
I have avoided it for so many years that I kind of didn't know that Bedford is kind of a dead zone, even on like a Friday night.
Is this a Cookies real estate episode? Is it real estate or is it like a shifting? I mean, it's always about real estate, but is it a shifting of kind of like a vibe in Williamsburg?
Yeah, I think so. It was more of a revelation, a brain revelation, that I didn't realize despite living here.
Some classic bars on that block. Remember Sweetwater?
Fuck yeah.
That's still there, though.
Yeah,
But it's a restaurant
It's a
now.
restaurant.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
It was a dive bar. It was great.
Zomblowski's still there.
Yeah, No.
Galapagos.
Galapagos, right.
Which was North 6.
Yes.
Black Bear. Oh,
C is holding it down, though.
C always holds it down. What was that other Thai place? Planet Thai.
Planet Thai.
That shit was crazy.
C was not
Two
delicious.
entrances
Planet Thai.
and a DJ for lunch.
And
oh
it was,
my god!
And the space was shaped like an L, which was hilarious.
You know what's kind of funny is that this is a real estate conversation. Of course, the area got more expensive. People
North
stopped
Face.
wanting to have noisy bars around them, and they went towards Bushwick or wherever. And the bar scene of a city is generally in a neighborhood that's not that nice.
Yeah, for obvious reasons.
Yeah, it's just NIMBY shit.
Right.
I don't want a spot that's open till 4 o'clock with drunk people beneath my window. And now that I'm a property owner, I have some say in that.
Right. I always joke, like, I've lived in the Lower East Side forever, and it's just like our friends' bars are constantly getting pushed out, relocating, all that because of community pressure. And I'm just like, oh, right, the people who meet, like, the people that they end up marrying at the bars end up having kids where they live and then want to kick the bars out because it's too loud, because they have to get up earlier, late, or whatever.
Yeah, and it's that, and it's also retail. Those same people who met at the bars who now want to live on the fucking water want to like walk up a couple blocks and get that purple tag North Face from the purple tag North Face store, which is completely insane. That
Where's my 5-year-old kid get a Luke's Lobster roll around here?
Exactly.
Oh, there it is. But
Someone to put up
oh
a...
god, I spilled my Toby's estate on the rag and bones. I should go to G Star real quick.
Yeah, someone put up a photo of Bedford Avenue from... they were making a joke about like some hipster shit, but they had to look up probably like Brooklyn hipster or just hipster and found an image, and it was of earwax, and I was like, oh, that's at least like 7 years old.
yeah,
And it was weird to sort of think about the trajectory of Williamsburg is that of the Phoenix Suns, I decided.
Ooh.
go off.
Did you decide it back then or just
now? Just
yeah.
now.
That's what I figured.
Well, I was thinking, I was like, oh, the halcyon times of Williamsburg, Brooklyn.
We're talking Barkley, or we're talking Steve Nash?
Oh, I'm talking Steve Nash. I'm saying as the rise of the neighborhood,
The rise of the Phoenix?
D'Antoni Ball from the Ashes.
Yeah.
D'Antoni Ball coincided with Williamsburg rising as a new power of
All
places
right,
to hang out.
I'll buy
and
it.
then
Go.
Okay.
Yeah,
Are
all
you
right,
with that?
go. Yeah, let's hear this.
I mean, that's mostly
Yeah,
the
that's the
theory.
thing.
Well,
then-
but I need some fucking
Color? Let's go.
Some color, some
Okay.
details.
And then after that, it became this new way of doing things, hipsterdom, and D'Antoni, hipster basketball. They both went up. Then it became sort of the predominant way of doing things around all of the city. And then you saw the decline of the Phoenix franchise once the cool kids, Mike D'Antoni, left, and it just became another run-of-the-mill popular neighborhood. And now it sucked.
Is
And
D'Antoni a gentrifier?
hell yeah.
Yeah, he is by
Is
definition.
D'Antoni Bed-Stuy or Ridgewood now?
Ridgewood, I don't know. I don't hang out in those neighborhoods. What's up?
I don't really either. So
Are all the good dance parties in Ridgewood now?
that's what I hear.
I'm not sure exactly where D'Antoni has gone,
Yeah.
but in the same way that Bedford has probably been the worst street in New York City over the last 7 years, the Phoenix Suns have also become the worst. So that was my parallel. It was
But
really
interesting, still interesting.
It was the time frame,
Yeah.
but also the D'Antoni definitely basketball hipsterdom.
And that's our the late Gen X thing. We ushered in Williamsburg hipsterdom, and every city ends up having a block where it's a version of that. It's well, where does everyone hang out? It's well, there's kind of a Williamsburg feeling spot downtown where they sell vintage and have a few good bars.
Incredible cultural homogenization across the board. It doesn't matter at this point if it's even in a foreign city. They'll have their cocktail places, their speakeasy, their barbecue place, their farm to table, and if you go to say Madrid, they're a little bit behind, but
It's happening.
they're following the same sort of culinary things.
It's dying out,
Portugal.
though. It's dying out.
But I mean, it's going to change.
Yes.
The funny thing is that they're as ubiquitous as Chinatowns in multiple cities and countries
So
across
many.
the world. What else would there be other than it'd be Chinatown? Probably was Chinatown, Williamsburg, and then Little Italy's.
There's Little Italy's. There's also Polish neighborhoods.
Little Ethiopia.
Just an Irish bar.
Right. Well, it's funny because in Japan, there's like there's an Irish bar chain that's like everywhere. Every 2 blocks is like this Irish theme bar. Oh, British bar. It's British. It's Jameson centric, which is Irish.
Do you know the name? Do you know the name of this
I forgot.
place of
I forgot.
wisdom and whimsy?
No, I just totally forgot. Blanked.
It's weird to see how that, I guess we can call it like the North Brooklyn aesthetic from, I don't know, from sort of the rise of big beards and tattoos and old-timey shit is now kind of gone. And now everything's more of this sort of, it's very clean, the subway tile sort of response to it. It's like the juice cleanse.
Yeah, it got Canada goosed. That's all that happened.
It kind of did, though. It went from being this like pork and bacon and beards to being like clean-shaven, subway tiles, juice cleanse.
Do we sound the oldest we've ever sounded now? Because do we just sound like old people griping about like our kids
is this,
being
even
like,
is this even a complaint?
right.
I don't have any preference here.
We frequent a bar, the 3 of us, down in Dime Square, where people have been hanging lately, and we've seen like 3 generations of people cycle through this bar, right? So
You're
like,
the king of Dime Square.
that's right. So I'm just like presiding over the next generation, but it's like
Your underlings as they filter through your domain.
there's like 20-year-olds hanging out at our bar, which is great. Crowded. It's hard to get a seat.
But also illegal.
21-year-olds.
We didn't-
meant
Right. Okay. Right.
Wow, you're snitching on the
21.
Did I name the bar?
No.
And
What else could it be?
Well, it's a popular bar among like young artist types now. Because like I walked by, it was jammed, and on my way home was like hordes of young art people going to hang at this kind of like divey bar, and it made me kind of like obviously nostalgic for my own youth, but like but it made me kind of want to get out of the neighborhood a little bit, being like, okay, yeah, my turn is over. Like I need to clear space for you guys. Like I should not be in your way at all.
Writing about nightlife, I can compartmentalize why I'm somewhere for work and why I'm somewhere to hang, and being around people significantly younger than myself, when compartmentalized isn't weird. When you're just in there to hang out and like, oh, let's check out this place. And you're like, everyone's like 22,
Yeah.
21 of drinking age. You're like, is there another spot? Is there somewhere else I could go?
Yeah.
And then when you do find a place like that where it is all ages or it's more age appropriate, it really is a treat.
Yes. And like it's about that social interaction, right? Because you're at a bar with like someone 15 years younger than you, and the conversation is just gonna skew, right? It's just gonna be like, oh yes, I've lived here for a long time. Oh yeah, I can tell you what are the kids doing? What did I do when I was your age? Like this sucks. Like this is not a fun hang. This is just like checking boxes at some point. You know, like when you hang around people your own age, you could just like forget origin story and just go into just like Harden sucks. Harden's great. You don't have to be like, oh, how long have you been watching basketball? Interesting. Oh, I remember.
Well,
the
that's
Knicks.
right, because the league started in 1996, but you're a little you're a little too young to remember those formative days of the late 90s when the league came into existence.
They're like, what about Bill Russell? I'm like, who's that?
Like, oh, right, that was an animation.
Right, CGI.
That was CGI made in the Converse soundstage in Greenpoint.
Right.
Oh, did you guys see those new Converse, by the way?
Yeah.
Oof.
Rough.
Rough. For those who don't know, they've updated the Converse Chuck Taylor All-Star for basketball again by making them just as bad to play basketball in as they did in 1940 or whatever they designed them.
Okay, so my question to you is like, you know how Spencer Dinwiddie digitally prints like his shoes, his own brand of shoes,
Yeah.
and like they look really chintzy. Does sneaker technology matter?
I'm going to say that the technology itself doesn't matter, but the quality of construction does.
Because like Dinwiddie's fine playing with his like weird shoes that he digitally prints himself before every game, and they don't look high quality at all.
There's definitely been a crescendo in the technology of sneakers. I think there's a little bit of the kind of Pizza Hut thing where
Go on.
it's just permutations of similar things. We're like, okay, this is a new pizza. And this pizza, we have meat in the crust and the cheese is beneath it. And it's like, it's still going to be leather and it's going to be plastic.
Oh,
and it's
so that's the
gonna be,
Hoka of pizzas, the maximalist.
But right, I just mean you're
The
bouncing.
crust is filled with Doritos.
Right, you're just moving the same pieces around a little bit. But if you go back to like the sneakers we wore in the '90s, like
pumps?
the David Robinson pumps, like they're like 2 pounds.
They're awesome.
It's
They look
crazy how heavy they are. And now you pick up one, you're like, whoa, and it kind of like almost like carries you off like a little balloon.
But the
like,
new
how
LeBrons-
are they so light?
The LeBrons are super heavy though.
But they're not though. They're
Oh,
not.
really?
No.
Those are chunky shoes though. They're too wide. They're beautiful, but
But
they're hard
that's
to
what I'm saying.
wear.
They're actually light, like in terms of the actual like
material.
materials, what you compare them to from back in the day. So I think technology has made things a lot lighter.
Did the Zoom Springs really ruin Vince Carter's knees? That was the rumor, right? I actually Googled this, and people are split. What do you guys think?
The shocks?
Yeah. The little springs on the back.
Yeah, the Nike shocks. I find that hard to believe, but that said, I often put on a pair of shoes or boots, something with a heel, even though I'm tall. And if there's a certain angle on that heel, I haven't figured out which angle it is.
Hurt your back?
Hurts my back.
Have you ever gotten high off
This
of,
is the
off of-
oldest we've ever sounded.
Have you ever gotten high off of React juice?
Oh shit! Was that something
Oh.
like Converse React juice, like Grandmama juice?
Have you ever like injected that?
No, but I thought you were about to tell me like a really cool story of kids trying to like pop their React juices and like suck it out or something because it was getting them high.
I'm down to get that out there because kids these days are so young.
Oh, yeah,
They stopped eating Tide Pods, right? Tide Pods are no longer a thing.
Back in our day, we drank React juice.
Yeah, we used to drop 60 on a sneaker and 2 of us had hit one each, so it was $15 a pop.
You mix that with the cracked glow stick.
Wow, I was really, really excited that was because not growing up in the United States of America.
React juice.
Yeah, because there's always those like panic button parental fucking things that happen, like people drinking vanilla essence, or like you said, eating Tide Pods or something like that.
We can get it out there. We can talk about it as if it was a Tide Pods epidemic. Maybe create some fake literature, some
And it wasn't Larry
PSAs.
Johnson's injuries that hindered his Converse career. It was the fact that little kids were getting fucked up on the soles of his shoes.
Well, they weren't even paying him. They were just giving him
React
vial
juice.
and vats of React juice in payment, and he was distributing it all throughout the
So Grandmama was
Charlotte area. Excuse me.
Grandmama was kind of the Griselda of basketball sneaker juice dealers.
30 for 30. So yeah, there's also like some basketball, or do you want to talk about Coachella? Because I mean, Jordan,
it is Good Friday.
you're actually here and not at Coachella as you usually are.
Oh yeah, my favorite spot in the world, Coachella. Wait, Good Friday. Did you guys eat any meat today?
I'm off meat.
Oh shit, Ben.
No, I have not.
Shall we go get some right after this?
What is the rules for Good Friday?
I believe it's fish only, right?
I don't know.
I don't really know why that is.
Is it a Jesus thing? I can probably look this up. But
I would say it's
Yeah.
probably
gonna-
involves Jesus.
Yes.
Just to, I don't know, Jesus-y.
yeah. Can
Jesus adjacent, as Jordan would say.
Can I talk about how jarring it is on Ash Wednesday when you like turn on the TV and like anchors have like ash on their forehead? I understand like all religions have different practices, but it's just odd to see because like it's sort of like when a guy in like team face paint shows up at the wrong party. You're just like, oh yeah, this is really weird. I'm sorry, I got to go to the sports bar where everyone's dressed like me. And sort of when I forget that it's Ash Wednesday and I turn on the TV and someone on CNN has like ash on their forehead, I'm like, oh, right. Oh, yeah, people believe in things that I don't know about.
Forgive my ignorance, but what the hell is Ash Wednesday? Because it's different in Australia.
What is it in Australia?
Ash Wednesday is to commemorate a horrendous day of bushfires, which was a Wednesday that like decimated half the state.
That's
Like it's really
horrible.
bad.
That's a different one.
Yeah. Okay, so now I'm like, what? This Ash Wednesday sounds like a big deal, but now I know why I only have a reference for it from Australia.
Interesting.
It's a Christian holy day of prayer and fasting. This preceded by Shrove Tuesday and falls on the first day of Lent, the 6 weeks of penitence before Easter. Ash Wednesday is traditionally observed by Western Christians.
There you go.
So it ends this Sunday. This observance. I mean, this Sunday.
Yes. So you traditionally give things up for Lent, which it sounds like.
Oh, right. So people were giving up like booze or meat or basketball.
Well, thankfully, no one here has done that, especially with the playoffs underway.
I'm glad that the NBA has no scruples. They're like, we're not giving up shit. Let's go, playoff baby.
In any of that Wikipedia entry that you just read, does it mention Kanye West ending this this time of observance with a performance at Coachella?
I believe the Sunday service is traditionally the ending of Lent.
Is Kanye back?
No way, right?
No. He's definitely a wolf in sheep's clothing right now.
Yeah? Go on.
Well, I mean, do you want to explain to everyone what you're talking about with
Sure.
the Sunday service babble?
Yeah, quickly, it's like he's been doing these private Sunday service morning performances where he invites like friends and family over to celebrate, kind of like a performance. He performs with a choir and he creates like beats on the spot, and it's a full blown like visual kind of like insider experience. And one of his clips went viral a few weeks ago. It sounded great, and everyone's like, "Oh yeah, all the weirdness that Kanye went through, we forgive him because it sounds so good." And he's riding that wave of good feelings into Coachella, where he's gonna do a Sunday service there, but that everyone could be a part of.
Is he going to screw the pooch? Is the spotlight of Coachella too much for him to bear, and he's just going to have to say something dumb?
Hopefully,
Yeah.
I mean, I love Kanye West, but I think.
But is this like some kind of born again ruse?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, when you asked, is he back? I don't know that he can come back based off of Coachella performances with a choir. Mm-hmm. Is he going to put out new music and we're going to listen to it and say, oh, he's making good stuff again? Mm-hmm. And we're now forgiving his indiscretions over the last couple of years because he's got new hit records. And that's what I'm saying by come back. Like, I don't know. Him using his fame and clout and the fact that people are interested in him to put together these Sunday services where he's doing gospel and going like, I don't know if that corresponds to him coming back as a musician.
Does he ever get back on SNL? Like, do they ever let him back on that show? Yes, right? Like,
Sure, right?
It's still
They don't care.
everything's still on the table for him.
My only critique of him is that he put out a number of projects over the last year or so, and they weren't that good. That's, in my opinion, Pusha was fine but forgettable. His own stuff wasn't good. The Nas stuff was not good. The Kid Cudi stuff was not good. And he put out 4 projects that didn't really captivate the imagination of the listening public in the way that his prior material did. So to me, it's more like, not only was he irritating, he didn't do what he normally does, which is be irritating but give us jams.
And he's been successful for so long that like it was bound to run out. And when it did, we were just like, he lost it. He no longer has it. And I'm like, yeah, it's so hard to sustain that, man. What are we talking, like 20 years of being awesome?
Yeah, but I mean, you look at someone as beloved as Tom Cruise. That was a decade where he was maligned and hated and box office fucking dog shit. Like,
Was this the Magnolia era? That was a response to that effect, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's
Back to that
the Katie Holmes era. Like post the Oprah couch jump thing was insane. Like what it did to his career, and
Yeah,
so
it does.
you kind of, I mean, it sounds crazy to say like, oh well, Tom Cruise's career sucked, but he couldn't get studios to back him. Like everyone thought that he was a liability. It was when he was going through the antidepressants thing.
And then Scientology was kind of something that freaked us out back then.
Yeah, and it was sort of people. It freaked us out, and then there started becoming things were coming out that were true, or like there was more factual evidence based on it, rather than just like John Travolta's a fucking weirdo.
That documentary on HBO like was supposed to like
Crack it open, it didn't do shit.
no, we were just like
Was
that
it-
seems normal.
What's that
They-
called? Going Clear?
Yeah. And we were just like, oh, that's not that weird. Like, you guys like to throw huge parties for rich people and you haze new members. Right. That sounds like everything.
Exactly. It's like, oh, you're disappointed when your daughter left the congregation because you're Catholic?
Yeah.
Oh, no, you're a Scientologist.
It's like you believe aliens are in the mountains waiting to reveal themselves. Like, still waiting for the Sixers. Ben.
But yes, so Tom
Well-
Cruise, Tom Cruise had this like kind of insane down period where it didn't seem he was ever going to dig himself out of it. And you look at Kanye the last couple of years with his Trump stuff and putting out like shitty 7-song records. It's like that's the other thing. It's like you
It's
only had 7
disappointing.
songs. How'd you fuck it up in just 7 songs?
That's what I mean. How did you put out incredibly underwhelming material when it was 22 minutes long?
But
He finally ran out of talent, right? Because we watched that EP go up in real time where he was like, I'm not done. I'm still changing it. Okay, I'm done. It's the night before. I changed it. And when he released it, we were like, oh, you don't have that magic anymore. You need to go like lose 10 pounds, or like when players like can't rely on their like
Just
youth.
add a corner 3, Kanye.
Yeah.
But yeah, he could definitely come back in the way that Cruz did. I just am saying that
Well, I think this is how he does it. He puts together something that seems personal and community based, like bringing other people into his world, especially since he's such a world eater to begin with. You know what I mean? He's embracing people rather than
Bringing his
telling them,
family
"Fuck
into his
you."
project.
Yeah, and so now he's doing it on a bigger scale, and I think that's the first step in rehabbing his image, is to, instead of being this selfish person who's, you know, sometimes perceived as having turned his back on his people, he's like back bringing, open-armed, bringing everybody in. And I think it's a shrewd move from a shrewd dude, and I think he'll
he's
do
a
well.
genius, right? But like I don't know what it feels like to.
Like, you don't?
But we always assume we do. Like we've just been talking about him, like we know him. Like
well, for all the skepticism about whether he's back or not, I would definitely want to watch him perform
it's
at
gonna be
Coachella
awesome.
and with a full choir and do a gospel inflected version of his hits and see how it works. I'm into it. I think it might be awesome.
yo, I mean, you asked what is happening outside the basketball world. I was like, Kanye on Sunday. I can't wait. I'm staring at my phone when I wake up and see what that looks like. You know.
Maybe he won't do any hits. Maybe those hits are a reminder of his.
Will he even perform songs? Like,
That's what I'm saying. I'm just interested. When he performed at the Box with John Legend one time, and which is a really intimate venue in like the Lower East Side. It's tiny.
Sounds like it.
It's tiny. And
oh, so expensive that place.
yeah, that had a real run. It's like the hottest place in the world there when it first opened.
Yeah.
And it was him with a drum machine and John Legend on the piano and singing hooks, and they just did a bunch of songs, the two of them together, and it was incredible. It was one of the best concerts I've ever seen, and you're 20 feet away from him, and he's doing all these versions of songs that you like in a completely stripped down different way that gave them a vibrancy that was new. So there's every chance he could do that with a choir and, you know, remixing his songs and maybe not having the kind of corniness of a live band, but a choir might be able to give you a totally different dimension that having
I
like
think he has a live band as well, though.
he probably does.
Like, I think he has a bunch of
No,
people
drums, live drums.
Man, I've seen pictures with conga drums.
Oh no, I'm down for that.
yeah,
okay.
conga drums are good.
Not like a drum kit like Questlove stuff.
Oh hell no.
It's like a vibe killer every time. Like I went to see The Field, like this great techno DJ, and he had a live drummer, and just such a bummer.
Such a bummer.
I'm completely out on rap music being performed with live bands.
Yeah, it's no fun.
No, and also I like the original song with like an 808.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Well-
and like a sample that just like grindingly repeats into your brain. Those are cool.
Well, I was obsessed with this like small band called Tough Alliance, and they ended up producing this other band called JJ that like their performances were just like the CD, and they would just get up there and like posture. And the best performance I ever saw Kanye do was like a record listening party where he just played the songs, and he just stood up there with a mic on stage and be like, "Oh yeah, this one's good. Wait, yes, okay guys, yes." And it was the best performance I've seen him do.
When Jay-Z did, I think it was the 10-year anniversary of Reasonable Doubt, and he did it with the Roots and a band, and those songs are particularly lush.
Yeah.
So I understood the sentiment to do it, but it was fine. Yeah. And then at the end, he came out with Just Blaze and Bleak, and they just played like, off of Serato, and it just was fantastic.
Yeah.
It was just great. It was just an hour of him just shredding his hit records with Just Blaze, just like Just Blaze, and Bleak as like the hype guy. It was so much more entertaining than
there's like these managers being like, I remember really loving the XX, and they use a lot of like program beats, and they got bigger, and then finally at one of their shows at T5, like they had Jamie playing the beats on a pad live, and I'm sure some manager was like, "You guys need to perform. You're a big ticket now. Tickets cost $25. You sold out." And it sucked because like no one is as good as a computer, right? So he was like kind of falling off beat. Like it was just more challenging than it had to be. I'm like, keep it simple. Do not sign Greg Monroe. Just keep it simple,
Well, using that effortless segue.
Yeah, I was about
to go back into music.
I was about to say, like, you know what? I kind of like when people play off the grid a little bit and like
playing a basketball game.
Well, I know I like the idiosyncrasies of not being a computer, but then when you told me that it sounded like Greg Monroe, I threw up in my fucking mouth. Like I was down until you said the XX Live sounds like Greg Monroe. And now I will never be able to listen to their music again.
If you went to a show of like a rapper you enjoyed, and you're just like waiting, and everyone's like, "We got a special treat for you, Questlove on the drums." Are you psyched or not psyched?
Not psyched.
No,
not psyched at all. Why,
sort of like seeing.
If I liked Questlove that much, I'd be watching the fucking Late Show every goddamn night.
I mean, respect to the Roots who did a thing and it worked, and a lot of their songs are awesome. But like, I just like a backing track so much.
Same. Roots put out really good albums.
Yeah,
they are a very good hip hop band in terms of which they're actually remarkably good for a hip hop band.
Yes.
Not to go too far back to what we just came from, but I will say one of the best live performances I saw was not hip hop, but comes under the same umbrella. Cat Power decided to stop doing her original songs and plugged her iPod in at the sound desk and just did harmonies and backing vocals on Bjork and Jimmy Cliff songs for the rest of the show.
I love it. That's my fantasy. Like, that's what I want to do. Like, that's what kind of shows I want to go to. Like I'd be.
Oh God, I just saw Quo be like, guys, I'm gonna plug my iPod in for a second. Hold me down.
Quo is not going to
give
be.
Me the aux.
It'd be a combination between like what I remember Cat Power being like in the aforementioned Tom Cruise and Goose in
Quo's
you lost that love and feeling.
Final Form, a Spotify fashion DJ.
We actually have a band that does that called Hex Message.
Yes.
With like Mike Bones. We just plug in our iPods.
Well,
now that we can't get iPods anymore, there goes the band.
Yeah.
Had a good run. Much like a certain backup center for the Philadelphia 76ers.
Should we keep avoiding the Greg Monroe segue that Quo so generously laid out there for us?
I'm ready to go. I'm ready to talk Big Greg.
13 shots. Starting lineup, Greg Monroe.
Hey, to be fair, he made 4 of them. So Greg Monroe inserted into the 76ers starting lineup with Joel Embiid sidelined with a leg, foot, toe.
Sore knee. Very
injury.
Not good.
Not good at all. Greg Monroe logged 24 minutes, went 4 of 13, and a -9 in the Sixers blowout victory. He fucking sucked.
Dude, the eye test, the numbers back it up, but the eye test on that was just fucking brutal. It's one of like the...
It was so fucking bad.
It was one of the... It was... I felt awful for Greg Monroe because I feel like a late season addition to the team who...
Like last week.
Who was not expected to play more than maybe 8 minutes a game in the playoffs, and with a completely different set of dudes is inserted into the starting lineup.
He's like, I'm fucking ready.
And
Go time.
Fresh legs.
and I
It's
did,
Monroe time.
I like that he
It's
was
Greg time.
I mean, I don't know if Brett Brown just told him like, "Hey, just go out there, be yourself, be aggressive right from the very start." But if he did, he shouldn't have.
Well, the Sixers had a little bit of a conundrum because Amir Johnson, who's another Greg Monroe, was out, and they don't seem that comfortable playing Boban, a larger Greg Monroe, heavy minutes. And Jonah Bolden is apparently out of the lineup, or maybe he's kind of hurt. I don't know why he didn't get the start. But Greg Monroe went out there and completely shat the bed in a fully expected fashion, which amazingly didn't matter.
Dude, also, if you're that bad, why are you wearing those blue sneakers? Everybody can follow you so well. You know what I mean? It's like,
But
why are you drawing attention to yourself when you're the worst person out there?
But after the win, is he like, I crushed it and everyone noticed me because of my blue sneakers?
The Monroe Doctrine.
Nice.
But he was very bad. And as I said, a -9 in a game that the Sixers won by 16 is probably the best way to adequately gauge his impact. So the star was Cookie's project, Ben Simmons.
Oh, you mean the
A-
player from the future? Like the Terminator to come back and show us how basketball's really played?
An Australian basketball genius who really ticks
Because
off
he's
the
11
boxes.
hours ahead of everybody.
That's right. No jet lag.
So he put up 31 points on 11 of 13 shooting, 9 assists, some boards,
Very ethically shot 0 threes.
2 steals, 3 blocks. He was the best player on the court by
A country mile, I believe it's called.
Oceania, an Oceania-wide
No,
swath.
I'm pretty sure it's called a country mile.
Which country?
Doesn't matter. It's a country mile.
Okay.
Means like the outskirts of Metropolis, where you're from, Ben.
Rochester. The metropolis of Rochester.
A Rochester mile. Anyway, yeah, he was great. And it was funny because there was a lot of kind of hostility towards him, especially from the Brooklyn crowd, because he'd had this like really boring back and forth with Jared Dudley of the Nets.
I love Dudley for this.
So Dudley had a kind of long basketball-y take in which he said that Simmons was good in transition, and he actually elaborated, and because
He wasn't wrong.
He's big and strong and all these kind of things, and you have to play him a certain way, but in the half court,
He's average.
he's average. He called him average and said that because he's not going to shoot, and they've got other guys who score in the half court. Whatever. It was a pretty normal thing.
Yeah.
It was like mildly shit talking, but it wasn't. It wasn't anything crazy.
I thought it was just the observation of a seasoned vet.
I mean, it was shit talking, but it's
Yeah.
also against your opponent. I mean, you don't say the all-star on their team is average and expect it not to be
he was throwing shade, for sure.
redeemed or to be perceived as like shots fired.
Yeah.
But Simmons' response was kind of like, "Yeah, that's Jared Dudley, though," and that was it.
Yeah.
But the Brooklyn crowd was like just booing Simmons every time he touched the ball.
Love it.
which is kind of great.
Yeah,
Also,
no, it's
it was
great.
surprising because I get it, they're like Nets fans, but also I bet half of them are fucking Australian, considering how many are here right now. Why would they be booing their very own?
Boomers.
That'd be funny. There's like someone yelling boo, and there's an Australian next to him just be like, Moose. Boo. Moose.
You might have figured out your role at the next game.
Yeah. We'll take a box. Anyone who was out there.
No, it's great. Everything about that's great. Like having everyone's talking about that anyway on Twitter, so having Simmons kind of have to respond to it was hilarious. And like Jared Dudley wasn't wrong, but he crossed a few lines there. Like as someone who's probably going to enter some sort of announcing role next year, he's just like auditioning himself for that.
But also, you take any series that includes a journeyman guy, right?
Yeah.
And let's say Michael Carter Williams. We're just taking like an average guy who's
Sixers
around.
legend.
But, he's on Orlando, and they ask him about the Raptors and like Siakam, and he's like, he's average. Of course, Siakam's going to be like, yeah, it's Michael Carter Williams.
I love it. I
you
love
also-
it.
There's always going to be a
it's great.
response.
Yeah.
You've also got to get your name out there. It's your time to shine. It's the playoffs. It's going to be national news. Get your mug on the camera.
And like maybe Dudley is doing the thing where it's like I want to take the attention away from D'Angelo, who isn't maybe as media savvy. You know, like, yeah, you guys can talk about me. I'm not really a part of this team. I'm just here to vibe manage, right? So maybe
Is he a director of vibes?
he might be a director of vibes.
They're all at Coachella right now.
Vibrational curation.
We need a live drummer.
Like, it's crazy. You walk around the city, you can't find a creative director anywhere. They're all somewhere with a headdress on.
So your dream came true, which is Ben Simmons at the 5.
Yes, they had some lineups that was just 4s out there.
Yeah.
It was like a 4s and Redick or 4s and Butler. There were definitely points where there was not a big man in sight. And yeah, Simmons played great, but what I enjoy about him is that he's so despised and reviled by the media and a ton of fans in almost an unprecedented way for a player who's as young and good as he is. I can't think of another example of a guy who was just hated at 22.
So I was watching the local broadcast, Channel 9, and Richard Jefferson was calling it. And towards the end of the game, I think Simmons was fighting for a rebound and missed it, and like it was a foul over the back or something. And he went into Simmons being like, yo, if Joe isn't on the court, you're the tallest guy. You need to get every rebound. He should have 10 rebounds. Like, he needs to act like the center. And then I looked at some stats. I'm like, he averaged more rebounds than Jared Allen this season.
He was like top 20 in the league in rebounds.
The dude is a rebounding beast. Like, he went for the rebound. He just was boxed out. Like, that's just a basketball play.
I was trying to think of other guys who inspire as much animosity, just in general, not even among 22-year-olds who are all-stars in their second year. And there's very few. There's LeBron, of course, but LeBron has squashed so many people on the way up, whether it's Kobe or it's MJ or it's Boston or it's Golden State.
Perceived selfishness, right?
Right, but he's had the decision. He's had these kind of things, but he's also elbowed so many people with powerful supporters and populist supporters out of the way that he's assembled a large congregation of enemies. You can sit there and be like, I'm a Kobe fan. Fuck LeBron. Yeah. I'm a Steph guy. Fuck LeBron. There's all those guys, and it makes sense. He's the GOAT.
But you can longevity kind of erases that because the Malice in the Palace like kind of painted a bad light onto Steven Jackson and Ron Artest, and them surviving in the league and getting older, being like, oh, I'm smarter now. I'm nicer now. J.R. Smith, it happened to. Like, we ended up loving him.
Right. I'm thinking of stars, and the only other guy that I would compare to Simmons is like Westbrook, maybe. That Westbrook has a lot of loud detractors, and a lot of people just kind of hate Westbrook.
I would mildly disagree with that. I think a lot of nerds don't like Westbrook just because of maybe like the perceived like stat hogging that he does, but I think in general people really love him. Like, I think people appreciate like his tenacity or his hustle, or whatever you want to call it. Like, he's still if he plays in a away game, people aren't booing Russ unless he's like yelling at somebody in Utah. But like I think he's a well-loved player still. I think among stat nerds, he's not as appreciated.
I'm poorly weighted on this because one, I've never really been that impressed by his numbers because I've seen how he goes about getting them. And
we have a Westbrook hater in our midst.
He's just sticking up for Steven Adams, who
could
be a max center.
Exactly. And I don't particularly like his style of play. I admire his athleticism and his tenacity and all these things. No. There's so much about him I admire, and that's sort of the things that he leans into. But I don't like seeing the results. I don't like seeing the way he plays. I don't like seeing the way he plays team basketball. So yeah, I don't hate him as a dude. I think he can be slightly irritating, but mainly I just don't really like the way he plays ball.
There was also a definite blowback to him winning MVP, and that there was a sense of excitement about him averaging a triple-double, and like, oh my God, no one has done this since Oscar Robertson, or that it was this historical achievement, and then now he just does it casually, and you're like, oh, we were fooled. This is just something that you can do, and we voted for the guy off something that...
Yeah, if you decide to do it,
that he can
and everyone else acquiesces and lets you do it...
He can just do kind of casually, even when the team's not good, and he's not even having a great year, we were deceived.
Do we hate him because like we became self-aware after that, being like we got to give it to the triple double guy, and when he repeated that performance the next year, we were like, oh, not only we were tricked, we're embarrassed. So now when Russ comes out and like drops a healthy triple double, we're just like, yeah, I don't want to do what I did last year.
It's like oh, so we gave the most valuable player award to someone who might be the MDP. Most detrimental player. Like it's very true that the way he plays basketball, the way that he plays positionless ball, and so therefore the rest of his team kind of has to work their way around him. That could be a huge hindrance to that team, and the results of them not doing well since he's averaging a triple double.
They might go out in the
speak
first
to
round. It's on the table that they're going to get eliminated.
So the OKC Thunder are currently down 2-0 to Portland, and Russ has faced a ton of criticism because he's shot incredibly poorly, even by his standards, which are low, because he's a volume dude. And every now and then he gets hot, but in general, he's a poor shooter. He shot, I believe, around 25% from three this year.
Yeah.
I mean, he's terrible from there. But even the shots that he normally hits a few of have not gone down in the playoffs. And I think he's made one three-pointer, and he's missed every single other jumper. Dude, I mean, literally zero for zero.
Dame and
for
CJ are
whatever.
Tenacious defenders, man. Like, those two are giving him problems, and Paul George is not Paul George. Like, he's not playing like he did when he was an MVP candidate. Shoulders fucked up.
I mean, I'm looking at the sort of distance shooting for Russell Westbrook in the postseason this year. On shots from 3 to 10 feet, he's shooting 33%. On shots from 10 to 16, 0%. Shot 16 until the three-point line, 0%. And on three-pointers, 10%. Granted, 2 games, but yeah, he's been really, really bad.
And that series is really interesting because one of these teams is going to go out. And Dame and Russ have been really kind of criticized for their early exits in the playoffs in the previous few years. And Dame and CJ are going nuclear. And it's been really surprising and awesome to watch. Like that focus, that laser focus that Dame has. Like, I am not losing this series. Fuck Russ, fuck Paul George. Like, I am not losing. And it's super fun.
Even in that way that we talked about Dirk changing the perception of him based on a great postseason run.
Your perception of him.
It's the true.
We all loved him. You just hated him.
He was. Everyone scorned that dude, man.
No, everyone loved that dude since the jump.
It's the biggest lie ever. Stop buying into this. The big Dirk industry, that big Dirk energy. But Lillard is one of those guys right now that because of the Portland flame out last season at the hands of the Pelicans, people kind of just didn't care about him this year. And if he can put together a couple series, he'll go back to being discussed as like a top 3 or 4 guard in the league. It's on the table for him if he gets hot.
Dude, like he's always on the borderline of every All-Star game, and he's like salty about it. And like, yeah, he's been a top 10 player for like a long time. We just don't perceive him that way.
It's also lucky that they have avoided both Houston and Golden State on the way to potential conference finals.
And just getting beat every time anyway. Like, they lost 2 years in a row. They got swept 4-0, 4-0 twice, right?
I guess I'm talking about how fragile perception can be, because if they do knock off a OKC team where Russ is not playing well, Paul George may be suffering from a shoulder injury, and he's just on fire. Then they face the winner of the Denver-San Antonio series. Those are both winnable.
Yeah. Very winnable.
That's what I'm saying.
And you could have Lillard blazing a trail, as Jordan was saying, to the Western Conference Finals, that even if they lose, he now becomes heroic.
Right.
Exactly. Well, even if they lose, but then do we give Portland a chance against
no.
Against not even if Golden State and Rockets go 7 and they're beat up?
Oh, yeah, I mean, if Harden gets hurt, for sure.
I don't even mean getting hurt. I just mean like beat up 7-game series.
I mean, but Lillard, I don't think they have a chance against those teams, but Lillard might still go off.
Yeah. This is a dumb question that I already know the answer to, but I want to pose it anyway.
Great.
Wait, do you think our answers will be more stupid?
Sounds
we'll see.
Okay.
I think I know where he's going with this.
Well, we watched Simmons kind of the whole dynamic of his game changed last night because he didn't have a ball dominant center on the court. And he was able to do things maybe in transition, maybe in the half court that usually go in Joe's direction. And Joe, however wonderful he is a ball stopper. In Portland, I know Nurkic is a release valve for these guards, and Cantor is nowhere near as good as Nurkic. Nurkic is an excellent player who is out for the playoffs. Does Alpha Dame without Nurkic, is that a net positive more than having him on the court?
I would say no, just because Nurkic has been great, and the dynamics of that team are still Lillard controls the show.
Is this? I mean, maybe where I'm going is like we don't believe in the Ewing theory anymore. But watching Nurkic go down, was Dame just like
What the Ewing theory
that you lose a principal
Yeah.
element of your team, and everyone kind of forms around that and becomes different and better for a small amount of time.
Yeah.
And
So you're talking about that Knicks run to the finals.
yeah, that's where
Yeah.
it started. Camby is
It
pretty
was
well.
Bill Simmons.
Yeah, and it's
theory.
not true, but it's a fun thing to think about.
The funny thing is that's exactly what I thought about when I watched the
The Sixers.
the
game.
Sixers last night, and it's also what I thought about when I watched the Golden State Clippers last night. It's like, oh wow, like you really are playing without that one big guy. So going small yet big has its advantages, especially when you have. I mean, the Sixers. How many playmakers do they have out there?
Brooklyn
at
didn't
one
know
time?
what to do.
It's like you got Jimmy, Tobias, Simmons.
It was Simmons and shooters.
Yeah.
To me, the Sixers becoming a championship team is not reliant on Ben Simmons learning to shoot. It's reliant on Joel Embiid becoming a better shooter from deep. Because the makings of a great long-distance shooter are already there. With Simmons, there's nothing. Because you could be like, all right, Ben, you can do it. You can now make 33% of your threes, which would be totally fine. No one's guarding him. The spacing is literally the same. It just means that maybe he'll take a few of those and make some of them. No team on earth is going to be duped into guarding Ben Simmons behind the three-point line. But Joel Embiid can make foul shots. He can make long twos.
Oh, they're better with him for sure.
Well, what I mean is maybe his range will be LaMarcus Aldridge range. That he'll never be a great three-point shooter, but he'll just be money from like 17 feet. But I think there's a pretty reasonable chance that Embiid can become a 40% three-point shooter. And that would be huge for Simmons and for the Sixers. And it's not saying let's stash, Embiid in the corner, but use him like Brook Lopez.
Which he has been playing. He just hasn't been hitting those shots. He's been taking the Brook Lopez shot.
And that, to me, is the Sixers' upside. It's not Ben Simmons getting up a 14-footer. That's never going to make the team better.
But it's exciting to see him without a big. It's exciting to see them go small, right?
The best center that works with Simmons, other than Embiid, because they do have great numbers as a
Is
unit,
Simmons.
just because of the talent, the best guy this year with him was Muscala, because he can shoot. He's not good, but their offense was excellent when you had Muscala just doing pick and pops and being behind the line, and then Simmons navigating the open space in the middle. That's why a team of Elton Brand after Elton Brand after Elton Brand
Right, exactly.
shows a lack from Elton Brand of understanding who you want to put next to Simmons. You would never go get Greg Monroe. He doesn't work with him. So that was one of the reasons that I thought Simmons' game last night was really impressive, was that because if you were going to sabotage him, be like, all right, Ben, you think you're hot shit? Yeah, try doing your stuff with Boban out there. Try doing it with Greg Monroe in the middle. And you're like, oh, right, you're going to put someone who stands where he likes to play but can't catch lobs and can't shoot. Oh, you're going to cripple him. And Philly did that, and he still was able to really thrive. And I'm like, imagine how good he would be if you had a guy who was a Brook Lopez, who could guard fives but actually really, really, really shoot. Even like a Marc Gasol. Or just a backup, your boy, Luke Cornett.
I love Luke Cornett.
A guy who could shoot.
The strange thing I thought about Simmons' game last night, not strange actually, that's completely wrong word. Interesting thing was it wasn't just the numbers for me that backed up that he's a good player. Like people were like, oh, he put up 31, 9, 3 blocks, 2 steals. Like, isn't that amazing? It's more of how he did it. And when you were watching him play the 5 as a oversized, utility tool, I was reminded that there's only a few players in the league that have the skill set and the size to do that. And you're looking at LeBron, KD, Giannis. I can't think of anyone else who could run that position and also orchestrate the offense almost as a point guard at the same time. Like, is there anyone else other than those? And they're top 5 players in the league.
That's like Dirk prototype. That's like Euro kind of like model that everyone who loves Dirk forever knows that you're talking about like the big who can play on the wing, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, Draymond.
But I mean, Draymond, I'm talking about somebody who has both the defensive and offensive capability in terms of racking up points through points and assists.
Oh,
yeah, and that's what I mean. It's like Giannis, LeBron, and
the
Durant,
best players,
right?
The best players in the league.
But also,
Luke
you
Cornette.
have to be able to have the size in order to play that position in that
Cornette's
way.
a low rent version of that. Very low.
Well, the guy that we can jump into speaking about now is Jokic, because Jokic is a guy who can shoot from distance, who is 7 feet tall, but kind of plays point guard, and he's been really good thus far. But he's the next guy to get absolutely eaten alive by the media and fans, because after being one of the top 2 teams in the Western Conference for the majority of the year, the number 2 seed, they're now down 2-1 to San Antonio, a team that was relatively lightly regarded. And I think on our show, we said Denver has this all lined out nicely.
No, on this show we said Denver's in trouble, right? They were the top 2 all year, but no one respected that top 2.
Well, I think our point was that they missed the bracket with Golden State, Houston, and Utah.
Right.
So their route,
Yeah.
they
It
may
was
not
as
have matched
easy
up.
as it possibly could have been.
They were
they
able
had
to
a-
avoid 3 better teams. than
Except
them.
unless they played OKC in the first round, it seems.
But like it's such a noisy series because the Spurs are playing better than we thought. Like Derek White is having some eye-opening games, and there's no way we could have predicted that. And Jokic, we could have predicted a little bit. Like the Jamal Murray again going cold and hot is the way the Nuggets will go. If he starts hitting shots, they'll be okay.
Right. Thus far in the postseason, we've seen the Spurs as a different team than the one we kind of imagined.
Yeah.
We thought of them as it's DeRozan and Aldridge, and those are the core guys. But seeing someone like Derek White just become a star.
Bryn Forbes, like heavy minutes. Even Jakob Pertl eating up some time. Like they're not this stodgy Rudy Gay, LaMarcus Aldridge team that we thought they were. They're kind of like high flying again, and like that was the whole knock on the Ginobili Duncan era. Everyone's just like they're so boring. I'm like they're super exciting. It just everything starts with Duncan, so it looks bad, but very exciting team. And like Pop did it again. Like they're running clever offenses versus a Denver team that is focused around Jokic, who can't really defend.
I mean, also, you got... I mean, everyone talks about it, but the experience thing really shows. And there's... How many players on Denver have even been in a playoff series before?
Yeah, they're definitely green, for sure.
At the same time,
Because you look at the Spurs, how many
IT.
playoff games has Patty Mills played at this point? Like, big playoff games, too.
Always
Like
the Aussie.
we think. Well, no, but it's like you kind of forget about Patty Mills because he's played his whole career there underneath
Good player.
Tony Parker, and he played big minutes in a lot of those games. So he's a very
He's a
seasoned playoff.
coveted free agent for
Yeah.
a summer.
I wonder if we're doing the typical playoff
We absolutely are.
rhythm here, right? Because, all right, the Spurs are not that much worse than Denver, even if you take them at their records and ignore the fact that Spurs played really well down the stretch and the Nuggets didn't play that well. The Spurs were excellent and were not the same team that had been there all season. There was only like a 6-game difference between them to begin with. So if you look at like sort of their relative play down the stretch, it's more of a pick'em series than
Styles make fights.
saying, oh, this is a typical 7-2 matchup. That said, it's 2-1, if the Nuggets win the next game, it's all squared up and they've got
Revisionist.
home court advantage again, and they're suddenly in the driver's seat. Versus right now, it's like Denver on the ropes, Jokic exposed, Jamal Murray not ready for prime time, and it's like,
But
but maybe in another day or two, it's completely squared up and they've seized the advantage again.
But if we look at the worldview of this tournament, I think the first round, like there's been rumblings that it hasn't been fun because there hasn't been close games. The first round is basically peacocking because in the regular season, especially when it winds down, people don't really show their hands and they play a different way. In the first round, we get to see how dominant people display their dominance. Like the Rockets are like, here we go. And like you get to see a different form of a team that we saw in the regular season. So yeah, these won't be close games, but like with this series, which seems to be one of the closer series, we're seeing them on display, and I'm not super scared of either of these teams. It's going to be a great finale, I think, maybe 7, but I think moving forward, like we don't really have to worry about these two teams.
I think that's true. That's very different from my takeaway from watching Houston.
Oh my God.
Because we know that Houston's opponent is a very, very tough team, an elite defense,
Yeah.
and one that now you could say has been tested a little bit. They've had some real playoff series. They haven't had long, extensive history of battles, but these guys have been around. And Houston's annihilation of them,
The pick and roll X, man. Swiss chocolate.
I feel like I had a couple beers and was like, I think they're going to beat the Warriors. They're going to win the title. Houston is convincing.
I mean, they were title contenders last year. Like, I think going into this playoffs all healthy is just terrifying for the field. Like, they're a fully functional beast right now. The Death Star is fully operational.
Without even jumping the gun on a Golden State Houston series, which would be in the cards in the second round, and
Yes.
whoever wins that would certainly
Yes.
be the favorite to win a title.
That's each game of that 7-game series is probably the most essential games
Basketball.
during the playoffs, right? Even the finals. Even if you're watching like the Warriors and the Bucks or something cool like that, or the Rockets and the Raptors, this second
interested
round,
in the Bucks, though.
Sure, I mean I am, but I'm just saying like stylistically, this is Rocky Drago. You know what I mean? Like they're
games-
going for it.
Game 7 last year, where Harden maybe had poo issues. Who knows? He didn't look like the same player. I thought that was peak basketball. We had never seen.
Wait, are
that
you
game.
talking about the one where he was concussed?
Because
That
something was wrong.
that was 2 years ago.
Oh, that was 2 years. What happened? Last year was a CP3
What?
injury.
Do you think that there's a chance that he
that
was
was
like
2 years ago?
he was like violently shitting and he knocked himself slightly unconscious on the wash basin? Is that what happened?
Something was
I
up.
think that's what happened.
Yeah.
But so like this matchup.
Yes.
Well, you're saying concussion. You're saying poop. I'm finding a happy medium.
I'm not saying poop just
Really,
for.
I would say it's a very unhappy medium. that you
Well,
found.
whatever. I'm CSIing the fuck out of this.
Well,
you guys don't
I
realize.
bring up poop because it's something that players aren't willing to talk about. So if he's concussed, being like, I got hit in the head, I think I'm concussed. If someone has tummy ache, they never talk about it. They're like, we'll get him next time. Like, what happened to you? It's like nothing.
You know, in that there was an article that basically said that Brett Brown was going to be fired. It was a total slam job, written by the New York Daily News
Is
reporter.
slam job the technical term for that in the journalism?
Hit piece.
Hit piece. A slam job. I like that.
I was basically saying the same thing. But it was just like Brett Brown's going to be fired. He's lost the team. It was scathing takedown of Brett Brown, saying that Elton Brand had tried to trade Ben Simmons, and ownership was like, no, he's untradeable, whatever. It was just
It's the Sheridan thing, right?
yeah, it was the Sheridan thing. And without speculating about where those details came from, due to the history of the show and people involved, I'm not going to publicly speculate on any of that.
Go on.
But I will say there was a note in there that said, well, Ben Simmons sat out in Orlando because he'd been out partying the night before. Do you think guys are really missing games off of partying?
I do.
Still?
I think that's my whole Jordan Bell thing. I think he's a good player, but he just maybe isn't in the coach's best graces, you know? Yeah, I absolutely think players like stay up too late playing video games and like dog it in practice. What makes you think that doesn't happen?
Yeah. I mean, you saw the Warriors that day in LA, the hangover game.
Yeah, and they admitted it, right?
Yeah, it was.
I'm saying
Clear
I
as
don't
a
think,
bell.
I'm saying I don't think people miss games for hangovers. That's my point.
Are you sure?
I think it's the NBA. I think it's like, oh man, my head hurts. I think you just go out there and play.
I don't think so. I think sometimes you're just like, yo, not me this time. I mean, like we call it the NBA, you know, with a capital the, but like, I don't know, when you're in it and you have a contract, you're just like, I don't feel like playing.
See, there's
Nets
holes in this
today.
story, man. No Australian doesn't go to work because they're hungover.
Also, it was a 7 o'clock game. I get it. It's okay. You're playing on the West Coast and it's that noon tip, or you're in New York. You've gone out the night before and it's the first day of like the NBA doubleheaders. Noon is one thing. 7 o'clock. Like how much partying did you do that you can't like show up and play a game at
But
7
it wasn't
p.m.?
probably solely his thing. They were probably just like, you partied too late last night. And he's like, I can do this. And they're like, no, you're not playing tonight. We're pissed at you, you know?
Maybe he was cramping up from the hangovers. Like, you can't go if you're cramping.
I think players miss games because they're like sad about something. Like, I think players just miss games for a bunch of reasons.
All right, speaking of being sad about something for Simmons, did him and Kylie Jenner, Kendall Jenner, actually break up?
I saw a
Or is
picture
it just-
online of Kendall Jenner with Waluigi courtside.
Unbelievable.
LA, it's that LA
Already
move.
moving on to Shamit.
I don't know.
Or is it just like one of those news cycle things where everyone was shitting on him, so they decided to throw the boot in and say that he broke
It was
up with his
reported
girlfriend as
on Therese Owens, I think.
I mean, we've established that he's a prick, and
The prick gene?
that we covered this going back last year. Ben Simmons is he's a prick.
Yeah.
But as we're saying, like the pile on from the media is just out of control. I don't really get it.
Do you think that she actually dumped him like while he's about to embark on this playoff series? Is she that cold, or is she just like,
I'm guessing he dumped her because he might be that cold. She seems like a very
oh, maybe
nice
he's
person.
like, look, babe, I got some things coming up. Joel might not be able to go, so I'm gonna have to step up for the team, and I can't be out here like emojiing with you.
Just zero dark 30.
I got to go back to 2022 after the series, so this relationship is tenuous. But it's interesting, right? Because online he gets a lot of grief from people being like, his advanced stats kind of are the same, kind of went down a little bit, but it's still great. And everyone's like, he's sort of like the same criticism Luka Doncic has, being like, he's hit. There's nowhere for him to go unless he like changes his point of view, right? And it's frustrating when you see a player like Jamal Murray and everyone's like, oh, he's going to get better. You just wait. And they see a player of the same age like Ben Simmons and be like, he's peaked.
Well,
like, it's total bias, right?
Also, Donovan Mitchell has been absolutely horrific in the first couple games of the series against Houston, but there isn't the same tenor. It's not that Donovan Mitchell has been exposed.
And he's been more of a prick and weird in the media than Ben Simmons has.
Absolutely. But it's very strange that Karl Anthony Towns completely shat the bed in his lone playoff series against Houston last year. There's not particularly any outcry about him being a regular season player.
I think it's the betrayal fans, especially fans in Philly, feel about the process and thinking that this thing has to have a result. So sometimes you hear this vibe of people being like, oh, after all that, we got Embiid, great, and then Simmons, not great. You know, it's just like, no, that's not how it worked. Like, you guys got 2 All-Stars. Maybe those All-Stars aren't LeBron James, but, like, that's who you got.
The odd thing about Embiid is that as great as he is, no one fits with Embiid. It doesn't mean that guys are worse with him on the floor, because you can look at the numbers of how the guys on the Sixers score, and they're almost all better with Embiid aside them. Their production might be down, but they all score efficiently. They're all good. So he's not he's not damaging the team. But no one works well with a ball dominant center who posts up and takes up half the court. Like, there's no one. You can't take one star in the NBA and be like, oh, you know who'd be perfect with him? James Harden. No, he wouldn't.
No.
He can't catch lobs. He's not springy like Capella. you'd have to put Harden on the perimeter, getting him off the ball in order for Embiid to get touches.
Golden State doesn't have a player like him.
No, he doesn't work with anyone. Yeah. So when people are coming down on whether it's Jimmy Butler or Simmons or whoever, you're like, well, think about that. Name a superstar in the NBA who would work really well with him. Like Kawhi Leonard, Kevin Durant. I mean, there's a couple, but they're just ISO dudes. There really isn't a guy who makes his team better who you would pair with him. Curry, not really, because Curry needs the ball.
Yeah, totally.
Lillard needs the ball. I don't know. I think people forget that Embiid is a player who has the usage of prime Shaq and commandeers a full third of the court to half the court whenever he gets the ball.
10 seconds off the shot clock.
Exactly. It's like no one really works with him. It doesn't make him any less awesome.
No, he's a keeper. Yeah.
I mean he's great, but him learning to make threes at a high clip and getting the fuck out of the way so he can save some energy and use that on the defensive end while just knocking down a couple threes would be huge for both his game and the Philly offense.
There's zero Joe criticism in Twitter, Sixers Twitter, but the player who would play great with Joel Embiid is Nerlens Noel. They had it.
As a backup, he'd be perfect.
Or just a weak side guy just swooping through.
I mean, Jeremy Grant would have been ridiculous with him. That would have been the best. Yeah. A guy who can stick the threes, also protect the rim, and actually catch lobs because Joe can't.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's about enough Sixers chat here.
Is it ever enough?
No, there's never enough.
I'm actually enjoying the Sixers chat at the moment, guys. Just letting you know.
Oh,
are they not the most fun team in the NBA?
They are definitely one of them. They're the most intriguing because they're barely a team yet. They've still only got 30 games under their belt with the current makeup. And there's so many little stories with Philadelphia. You've got Butler going off. You got Tobias. That was the thing last night, man. They had a lot of people scoring in bunches. So they
Harris had a fantastic game.
6 for 6 from 3.
Yeah,
and
29 points. Redick had 26.
Turns his back on the internet. Dumbo native JJ Redick.
Yeah, there was just to get some Jordan content there. There was an obvious fart was laid.
I know. I looked at it.
Oh, there he goes. That was laid on the bench, and it was an opportune cut from the televised broadcast, and you saw Zaire Smith waving in front of his nose, Amir Johnson and Joel Embiid putting their shirts up in front of their faces. It was a very obvious fart scenario.
Whoever denied it supplied it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. When you put your shirt over your face,
it was Joe.
Yeah, I bet.
Was it Zaire?
I don't know. When you put your shirt up over your face, you're both covering your nose and covering your sinister laughter.
It's very funny.
Was it Amir Johnson?
I think it was just Max Kellerman.
Did he crop dust them?
He emailed them a fart.
Poison pen letter. Well, there was another game last night, and it ended what was threatening to be a mildly interesting series, the Golden State Clippers. And after that incredible comeback, we did the playoff response. Holy shit, the Clippers have tied it up. Golden State is lost. And then the Warriors came out and just obliterated the Clippers last night, and Durant dropped, 46? And my conversation angle on this, though, is less about the inevitability of the Warriors being great, but somehow Durant has completely subsumed discussion of Curry or the Warriors. Not only does he have 2 Finals MVPs, all the conversation is about him leaving, his relationship with the team, him and Patrick Beverley. Has he finally made the Warriors his team?
I was comparing all this drama that 60 Minutes came out, right, where they had the Hamptons 5 minus Draymond and Sean Livingston there, and they asked where would you guys consider leaving this team? And Andre Iguodala was just no, when you're my age and this old, you don't leave this. This is great. And they all started cracking up. And KD had a Ben Affleck moment where he was staring off into space and just looking at his hands and not laughing at all.
And Clay had a really funny expression too, where
Clay's hilarious.
He looked mildly high as usual, but sort of shifted his eyes, kind of Bort or like Bart Simpson's enemy, whatever his name is, and just like and like squinted kind of off into the distance.
Yeah.
While the other guys chuckled about how comical it would be to leave Golden State, and 2 of the 5 guys were like, they're like,
So I didn't read it as that. I read them as like giving Kevin Durant shit because they've accepted that he's leaving and they still like him. So they're just like, oh, this is awkward. You know, it was like good-hearted. I think they all like each other still. But
it is interesting, especially if when Durant leaves, if they give him if he gets another Finals MVP, and Curry hasn't won one, and Warriors may not go back to the finals again, that changes the narrative pretty fucking heavily. Like 3-time champion, 3-time championship MVP of that series. And I mean, Curry's game, fucking 38 points and 15 rebounds
he's ridiculous.
So ridiculous. And we're used to that stuff from him now, but we're also used to that from Durant. But because Durant's been in the news cycle so much, it's like, oh, the ultimate fuck you to Patrick Beverley. This 38-point game. It's like, yo, Curry just did this, but even more impressive and even more efficiently.
Is it because people still think Curry does this unethically? Like, people still don't respect volume 3-point shooting.
There is something that Curry's viewed as not just unethical, but that he's a freak, that he's cheating a little bit.
Yeah.
We can acknowledge that he's the best shooter who's ever lived. And cool, you got that. You got that. And you have this tool that makes you unbelievable, but you're not really playing basketball.
Totally.
Curry also suffers from that thing where he's small and skinny and like pretty. And so it's like, oh, he didn't work for this. He just put on a magic pair of shoes that made him be able to shoot the lights out. Like, I know what you're saying. It's
His father is a 3-point shooter as well.
He's unfair. He's wearing the magic sneakers. He's fucking thunderstruck. Or
it's the plot from that Bow Wow movie.
Yeah. I mean, no, it is, which is actually a really old story. The idea of, basically King Arthur, of taking this thing and then making you all powerful. And I've seen it before in old soccer cartoon books from the 70s and 80s.
Or the movie
idea of putting on finding a pair
Aquaman?
of beat up boots. It's always beat up boots or something.
Where's that scepter?
The cobbler.
Yes, on the cobbler. And so, and that's what Curry kind of feels like. He was just like out in the thrift store one day and he's mumbled out this dusty pair of Under Armours, and the rest was history.
Well, we don't hear much about... My favorite thing is when people think they can solve superstars in the playoffs, being like, oh, just make Harden go to his right. It's like, oh, Simmons, just give him space. And like with Curry, you don't hear much of that anymore, but for years it was like, just knock him down. Just like get in his face. He's a spry guy. Don't let him get the shots off. And now people have just resigned to be like, okay, he's going to score 40 points whenever he feels like it, right? Because he's cheating, basically. But you're right. Durant has taken kind of the ire away from Curry. And I was talking to somebody about Game of Thrones because I love watching every episode, but I'm not invested. Like, I don't know, like, the interpersonal kind of drama with all these characters. So when 2 characters meet, I'm just like, so what? They're like, oh, my God, that's like Jaime Lannister and the guy he pushed out the window.
The movie Rookie of the Year from 1993, the plot was a freak accident causes 12-year-old Little League player Henry to become such a powerful and accurate pitcher that the Chicago Cubs signed the junior high student to a contract. That's literally the perception of Curry, is what you're saying, the trope of magic beans.
Or
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly.
yeah, or it's like Air Bud being like, yeah, you're a dog. Of course you're better than us. You're just going to dominate us. You're a dog.
A dog can't play basketball.
Oh,
Yeah,
can play
until he does.
right.
Until that dog dunks all over you.
That's like, I bet the first person to put a neckerchief on a dog, probably like, dogs can't wear neckerchiefs. And next thing you know, dogs look fucking cool in neckerchiefs.
Dogs can't
that's
be businessmen.
That's a bandana. That's for
Oh,
humans.
yeah, that's what they're called, bandanas.
Can't put a dog in a bonnet.
Dogs can't be cool. They can't wear sunglasses. Oh, touche.
Well, all right, but let's not have them surf and drink beer and be in hot tubs, because
Yeah.
that would be a bridge too far.
Is that a leather jacket?
Yeah, it's like dogs are allergic to weed smoke. Turns out they're not. They love it just as much as we do.
So Steph Curry is basically like Air Bud.
Yeah.
He's Spuds McKenzie. Air Spuds.
How many Spuds were there? There was like 7 or 8, right?
Wait, there was...
There was multiple Spuds.
Oh, okay, but they were still called Mackenzie. I thought like it was like Spud Johnson and
Oh, like Poochie.
Spud Davis.
This goes along with Lassie and all these other ones. And every one of these shows, there's multiple dogs, and then you're like, and did you know that 9 of them are dead? And you're like, oh, man. It's so depressing, all those dead dogs we've been watching for years.
Yeah, I mean, you can't jump off a train and expect to live when you're a dog.
Or like party and smoke weed and cigarettes and
Well, you
Budweisers.
Eventually get called back to your home planet.
What the funny thing about last night was like I got all these texts from people being like, I want to go to sleep, but like, what if the Clippers come back from 20 again?
Wait, what's all these texts? How many is all these? I'm
2.
curious. Okay.
Which is a
enough.
lot more.
I know it's enough, but I was like, what if you're getting like 15 texts all being like, yo, the Clippers can come back for this? I would lose my fucking mind. But
But
it
the
makes
fact-
sense that you're
fact-
more popular than me.
Well, just like people throw terrible basketball takes in my direction, I eat them up, I gobble them up, like a stat hunter, a bad take hunter. But
Are you a take hog?
I'm a take hog. But I was surprised that people took that 31-point comeback and like let that get into their brains, being like, maybe the Clippers have a chance. I got to see the end of all these games now because we've seen it once before. Like,
But
that doesn't happen.
didn't you, as a rational, fucking normal, basketball educated person, look at that and be like, "Oh man, they just bought themselves a beat down for the rest of this series." When they came back against a lackluster Golden
they
State
poked
team.
the bear.
Oh hell yeah!
But if you're not going to win, you might as well prod away.
I mean,
Like,
they'll be
what's the alternative? Okay, we'll come back, but don't get the W. Play
No,
it.
no, I know. I just
Play
I
it
just,
cool.
I just mean like it's not. They got the win. I'm glad for that, but that's not indicative of what's going to go down now.
yeah, no way.
It's like it's like basically like slapping
Yeah.
the tough kid at school, and then he just pile drives you to the ground.
And that's what I mean by the round one being like kind of a showcase, because I think, yeah, the Warriors were kind of like, we got these guys at like 80% speed, and then they come back and humiliate them. They're like, you want to see us really try? Like, now we're at full strength, and now we're just going to blow you out.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. What I was saying was completely off topic.
Mine was only somewhat off topic.
Do you want to go somewhat and then completely?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
I was just going to mention that we have not talked about Milwaukee at all. And that series sucks. It's deeply uninteresting. Griffin's not playing. Detroit's not good to begin with. It sucks. It's unwatchable. They're
Giannis is playing like 28 minutes a game
Yeah,
in a playoff series, which is amazing because it gets
Smart.
him fresh, but also like, wow. That's insane.
And they get rewarded for that, for being a number one seed.
Yes.
I'm psyched.
of course, and that's the system works.
Yeah.
And if they were choosing their opponent, it probably would have been Detroit.
Yeah.
But to your point, when we're talking about teams showcasing themselves, Milwaukee is doing that. And they've been the number one team in the East all year. Their record and their offensive rating and their defensive rating, they all say the same thing, that this is an absolute title contender and maybe the best team in basketball.
Filthy.
And we haven't seen them, we haven't even watched them because they're not interesting yet. And they're, to me, they're the sort of looming giant in the East that we kind of have forgotten about them. We're talking Sixers, there's the Celtics in there, Raptors are in a series. Like, Milwaukee's just chilling.
Chilling. Yeah, it's just because this matchup isn't interesting. But I think when they're challenged, I'm dying to see what Giannis looks like, and he's going to be amazing.
I'm not sure that the Bucks are beatable out of the
I don't
East.
think so either.
I don't think they're beatable out of the East, but I think they get torched by Houston or Golden State.
Oh, really?
Personally. Yeah.
I'm not sure. Changed my mind. What's up? What do you see?
I mean, you see things, especially with Golden State, like KD can match up defensively and offensively with Giannis pretty well. We saw like how he handled LeBron. Obviously, Giannis is a lot bigger than LeBron.
But the Bucks are deeper. They have more excellent players everywhere.
I don't.
I mean, Curry's amazing, but I really like the way that Bucks team is built.
Okay.
I think they're beatable in a particular game or even in a few games by a really good team. But there's something about the simplicity of what the Bucks have done that I really admire. And the Rockets have done the same thing. Instead of saying, okay, we've got all these crazy moving parts, we've got to put this system together. Like, no, we figured out a glitch. this guy, James Harden, you can't guard him. And when you do try to guard him, he'll kick the ball to someone and that guy takes a three or he dunks the ball. And that's it. And like, you can't beat us really. And that doesn't mean they're going to win everything, but they've got their thing. And Milwaukee, what I love about them is they've got their thing. When you watch Philly, it's like, all right, Embiid's going to like fuck around in the post and like, how are they going to get these guys in the court? And all right, well
Jimmy's going to jump inside the 3-point line and then kick it back to somebody while he's searching for people wildly in the air.
The Sixers have too many moving parts. What I love about Milwaukee is like, okay, we're going to put these guys around the perimeter and they can shoot. And one of them is Brook Lopez and he's huge. And then we're going to take this guy that you can't guard and he's going to attack the basket and try to dunk on your fucking head. And like, if you double, he'll pass the ball out and we'll take a three. And that's all we're doing. We're not going to do anything else. There might be some different wrinkles and sets, but like, Giannis is a singularly unguardable dude. Good fucking luck. And I really love that they've just sort of drawn a line in the sand. Like, we're going to do this. And you can put Gobert on him and try to stop him, and maybe that works, but maybe it doesn't.
Death. Yeah.
Like, I think you'll end up seeing Clint Capella guarding him a lot. If Philly plays him, Embiid will guard him. And it creates some interesting matchups. And maybe it works. But what the Bucks are doing, we got an unguardable dude, and we're just going to have him muscle your dude and push him and shove him until you foul him or he dunks it.
And to your take from weeks ago, it's like they've acquired not just 3-and-D guys. All those guys can do a bunch of stuff, like Bledsoe, Middleton, Brogdon, hopefully he's healthy, Brook Lopez. Like, they're not just 3-and-D guys.
Right, because you have to be at least functional during the 12 minutes a game when he comes off the court. And obviously having more talent makes them better when he is on the court. But that's what it comes down to. You could get away with just 3-and-D dudes if he's on the floor. But you're much more dangerous if you have guys who can dribble and pass
that
and
costs
score
the same
themselves.
amount of money, maybe, you know.
You know you're onto a good thing when you can make Ilyasova look like a pretty decent
Oh, the black hole?
addition.
I mean, Lopez was mocked.
Ilyasova shoots well and can, even if he's not like an elite defender, he can at least stand in front of people.
I mean,
Brook Lopez is making $3 million a year.
Amazing.
He's absurdly valuable.
Insanely
He
valuable.
can guard the paint a bit. He's a mediocre rebounder, but he blocks shots. And then he just stands 30 feet away from the basket. And if you put a little guy on him, then he'll just march to the basket and post him up.
He's a release valve. He doesn't need the ball. He's so valuable. He's that highly operational player that doesn't have high usage.
No, he's been fantastic. And you're like, I get it. You figured out a system that works.
It's also nice for him because they're like, look, Brook, we know you've spent the last 12 years in the middle of the paint and you're down low and that's your thing. But Giannis really needs to spend a little bit of time down there. Trust us. If you go stand up here, you're going to be more revered than you've ever been.
And he clearly loves it.
Loves it. He's
Lopez bros
he's
seem
"Do you know-"
awesome.
He's like, I'm like 30 fucking years old, man.
Yeah.
You mean I don't really have to bang? I can just pop shots? Like,
Which secretly every big man wants to do.
Yeah.
Is just
like
go out
I've,
there and just
I've
let
not
it
been able to
fly.
shoot for years. Like no one has ever lets me take this. I get to stand up there for 20 minutes a game, and if I miss, it doesn't matter because Giannis is probably going to rebound it anyway.
And what's great about it is he has this little head shake that I call the disappointed boyfriend that he does when guys don't guard him out there. He's just this look of kind of, he's been hurt, but he's also like morally correct. And he just kind of looks at the opponent and shakes his head. And I'm like, that's the Brook Lopez I want. The one who, he's kind of hurt that you didn't guard him from three.
He's got the craziest voice of anyone in the NBA. It's like super low and gravelly. It's always a shock when I hear him talk.
How different is it to his brothers?
Robin also has a low voice, but Robin's like, they're both very chipper dudes, but Robin's kind of a clown. Like, I really loved him in New York because he was hilarious, and he seems hilarious in Chicago. Yo, those are two good players, man. I know Robin is like kind of been evolved past, but like when he got some time at the end of the season, like did not suck at all.
Yeah, Robin just did not develop that three ball.
Yeah.
He can make it like on once in a blue moon, but Brooks' jumper is fucking pure.
Which is crazy because they have the same DNA. And one can do that and the other doesn't.
Well, yeah, Seth and Steph.
But there's, yeah, I mean, one's better for sure, but
Even one of the Morris twins is better than the other one.
Markeith is better, right? I think Markeef's better.
One of them's better. I'm not sure which one.
I
but
think
one's
it's
better.
Marcus.
Nature versus nurture. One played on the Suns, the Bedford Avenue.
Wait,
They
the
both played for the Bedford Avenue of the NBA.
the Lopez's played together as well, right? Or the
In
UCLA,
college. Stanford.
Stanford, and the Morrises were Kansas. Anyway,
Now that we've got that cleared up,
yeah. Yo, man, I'd like to know carb on carb. These are all carb on carb
it's
guys.
a carb on carb scenario.
Yeah.
Except it's brother on brother, which makes it sound gross.
Fair.
No pig brain talk this time. Should we tease it? Next episode, pig brains.
Yeah, the pig brains are crazy. They're taking over.
So next episode, we will have all watch Kanye's performance on Sunday, and then we'll get to the bottom of these NBA series.
And that will,
See if Kanye's got any electrical activity or cognitive.
yeah, that was it. That brought home the perfect pod.
Yep.
It tied everything together with a nice bow.
Cookies.
Cookies, perfect pods.
I love cookies. I love cookies. I love cookies. I love cookies.